and welcome, my friends, both newcomers and returners alike, to Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel ASMR. As I continue to cover Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I shall explain the concept of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game and explain, for beginners and experts alike, how to play. In the previous episode, we went through the solo gate, simply named Tutorial, where we covered the most basic rudimentary features of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game: attack, defense, spells, traps. Now we're going to get into more of the intricacies of Yu-Gi-Oh! As we begin the solo gate known as Duel Restart. For when you want to learn or relearn the basics of dueling, take the first step here. It's recommended you play this before you try any of the main gates where you will experience the story. These free areas are where we are going to learn the most basic concepts of how to duel. And I'll have so much fun sharing it with every single one of you. So sit back and relax. Your friend Alakazam has got this covered. In Duel Restart, we have 4 practice instructional duels, and then 1 free duel where we're left on our own to use what we learned to win. So, let's begin Duel Restart, and allow me to explain how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel in an ASMR form for your entertainment and relaxation. Please enjoy, my friends. Practice Duel 1. Let's look back at the basics of duels, based on the basic controls you learned in the tutorial. First things first, regarding monsters. When you attempt to place a monster on the field, 2 options appear: summon and set. Let's review the difference between summoning and setting. Let's learn the difference between attack and defense. I'll keep it as simple as I can for you all, my friends. It's time to duel. Put monsters onto the field. Monsters below level 4 are easy to put on the field. They will be useful especially in the beginning of a duel. Use the attack and defense values to determine how to put them on the field. To summon a monster of high attack, summon it by putting it in face-up attack position. And to summon a monster with high defense, set it by putting it in face-down defense position. Draw. Standby. Main phase. Our opponent summons a monster. We draw a card. Crowned by the World Chalice. Standby. Some monster cards have various features, such as high attack, high defense, and etc. The attack of your opponent's monster is higher than that of Crowned by the World Chalice in your hand. If you summon the monster as is, you will not win in battle, so let's put the monster on the field in another way. Let's set Crowned by the World Chalice. Now, to explain. The opponent has played a card known as Winged Dragon, Guardian of the Fortress No. 1. A dragon commonly found guarding mountain fortresses. Its signature attack is a sweeping dive from out of the blue. A very early Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. No effects, but very simple. It has an attack of 1400 and a defense of 1200. Solid stats. Now, the Winged Dragon has 1400 attack. The card we drew, Crowned by the World Chalice, only has 0 attack. While she has a cute artwork, and with her magical staff she can channel the living heart of her world to shield her people from the mech knights that have overrun it. If we summon Crowned by the World Chalice, if we attack the Winged Dragon, we will lose life points and lose the duel, as we will take 1400 points of damage. That's not good. Winged Dragon if it attacks us. When World Chalice is in attack mode by being summoned, we will also take 1400 attack. So, how do you get around this? You set a monster instead. Crowned by the World Chalice has 2100 defense to compensate for having 0 attack. Now, when you summon a card, it will appear on the field in attack mode, like Winged Dragon here, facing us. Now, if we set a card in defense mode, in real life and in Master Duel, Yu-Gi-Oh cards in defense mode are placed sideways. Now we are ready for the attack of our opponent's monster. It's time to end our turn. When you set a card in defense mode, it automatically goes face down, so while we know what the card is, our opponent doesn't. So, if they attack into Crowned by the World Chalice, it will take into account 2100 defense points versus 1400 attack. End our turn. So we can't attack Winged Dragon, but we can defend against it. This will allow us to experience why it's important to be tactical. Use your monsters in attack mode where appropriate, and defend whenever necessary. Our opponent's monster is attacking. If our set monster is attacked by an opponent's monster, the attack of the opponent's monster is compared with the defense of our monster. So, if Winged Dragon attacks us, it won't be able to destroy Crowned by the World Chalice. When a monster in defense mode is attacked, and the enemy does not have enough attack points, then the creature stays on the field, but its owner takes life point damage difference. To put it simply, 1400 attack isn't bigger than 2100 defense, so mathematics means that the difference between 2100 minus 1400 is 700. If the opponent attacks Crowned by the World Chalice, they will take 700 points of damage, but their monster will stay on the field. However, witness what happens when Winged Dragon attacks. Victory. You don't always win a duel by destroying all of your opponent's monsters. Sometimes just taking out their life points is all that you need. So we defeated our opponent by defending, using our superior defense instead of 0 attack. This is why it's important to use cards where they are most effective. Some cards are better at attacking, other cards are better at defending. It's all down to the cards you choose, and the ones you enjoy most, to bring out the best in your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel monsters. So that explains the concept of attack and defense. Now in the solo gate, we go to our second practice duel. Next, let's talk about spell cards and trap cards. Many spell and trap cards are single-use cards that are sent to the graveyard after their effects are resolved. However, yeah, don't worry, I'm reading. A little white tiger's commenting right now. Hello. Sorry for the interruption. Hello. A professional setting. I know, very professional. Okay, let's do that one more time. Basically, we're talking about spell and trap cards. Yeah, we are. Many spell and trap cards are single-use cards that are sent to the graveyard after their effects are resolved. However, some spell and trap cards remain on the field instead. Let's continue to have an effect and go over the differences. So, while you activate spell and traps, they go in the graveyard just like monster cards. But some spell and traps stay on the field. Let us find out the difference. It's time to duel. Used spell and trap cards are sent to the graveyard, but cards with continuous, equip, and field icons remain in the field. Notably, field spell cards will be placed in a dedicated field zone, not the spell and trap zone. Draw. The opponent is reinforcing their monsters with field spell cards. Field spell cards are placed in a dedicated field zone and activate various effects while placed on the field. Destroy your opponent's field spell cards with the effect of Dust Tornado that you drew. Let's set Dust Tornado. Now, let's explain. This monster is known as the Hitotsumi Giant, a one-eyed behemoth with thick, powerful arms made for delivering punishing blows. He has an attack of 1200. However, the opponent played a field spell card. When this is activated, it goes in the field zone here, or in our case, here. These cards stay on the field instead of going to the graveyard, unless they are destroyed by an effect. The opponent's spell card is called Gaia Power, which increases the attack of all Earth monsters by 500 points and decreases their defense by 400 points. This explains why the Hitotsumi Giant has only 600 defense opposed to its normal 1000, but 1700 instead of its normal 1200. It is stronger but weaker at defending. Our monster card we have drawn, chosen by the World Chalice, has 1600 attack. It can't defeat the Hitotsumi Giant in battle. However, we have a trap card called Dust Tornado. We can target one spell or trap the opponent controls and destroy it. So, set Dust Tornado and summon chosen by the World Chalice. Now, if we attack Hitotsumi Giant, that won't go very well for us. We cannot activate trap cards as soon as we set them. So we have to end our turn. Trap cards are slow but effective. The opponent is now activating an equip spell card. I know, bad news. Equip spell cards are also spell cards that remain in the field. Unlike field spell cards that affect the entire field, equip spell cards affect the monsters that are equipping them. The opponent's monster is attacking. We have to activate a trap card before our monster is destroyed. With the effect of Gaia Power and the mystical moon they just activated, the Hitotsumi Giant now has 2000 attack. Now, we can activate our Dust Tornado trap card to destroy either Mystical Moon, the equip card, or the field spell. Mystical Moon gives it 300 attack, whereas Gaia Power gives it 500 attack. Let's destroy Gaia Power before we take the final blow. Opponent's life points reduced to 0. Now you see, if we chose to destroy Mystical Moon, the Hitotsumi Giant would have had enough power to still destroy us. But because we selected Gaia Power, we were able to depower the Hitotsumi Giant, so it was weak enough to be destroyed by our chosen by the World Chalice. And that is an example of practical application of trap cards versus spell cards. When the opponent equips their monster with something, or gives it some kind of power boost, try your best to cut it off. It can increase your chances of victory. And that's an example of how to use spell and trap cards. Now we can go to practice Duel 3. Let's go over spell cards in a little bit more detail. I know, great idea. When you want to play a trap card from your hand to the field, you have to set it. But spell cards can also be activated as well as set. Let's review the difference between activating and setting a card. It's almost like attacking and defending, if you will. The difference between a spell and a trap. One is more sudden, and one is slower, but both effective. Anyways, it's time to duel. Spell cards can not only be activated on your turn, but can also be set like trap cards. Many spell cards can be set and then activated during your turn, except for quick play spell cards. We'll get into that later. Instead, you can set it, then activate it on your opponent's turn. Spell cards can be very tactical. The opponent summons a feral imp. We have the spell card Smashing Ground. Smashing. When putting a spell card from your hand onto the field, you can choose whether to activate or set that card. Let's break down the difference. Let's set Smashing Ground. Now, the opponent has a feral imp, a 1300 attack fiend monster. Cute. Now, we could activate this effect of Smashing Ground right now and destroy the feral imp, but instead we are going to set it. This puts the card face down, and we can choose later when to activate it. It can still be activated this turn. Let's take a look at it in practice. Now, we could have activated it right away, or placed it face down, and activate it pretty much whenever we want. We've just successfully destroyed our opponent's monster. Spell cards are primarily used during your turn. This is true not only when activating from the hand, but also when activating cards set on the field. Some spell cards are called quick play spell cards. When activated from the hand, it behaves the same as other spell cards. When set from the hand, it cannot be activated that turn. Keep in mind when set, quick play spell cards have a feature that allows it to be activated even during the opponent's turn, just like a trap card. Try summoning Beckoned by the World Chalice. Beckoned by the World Chalice has 1800 attack. Let's proceed to the battle phase. Attack our opponent's life points directly. Go, Beckoned by the World Chalice. Claim victory. Victory. So, now you know the difference between setting a spell card and activating it. You can use its effect right away or save it later for a more tactical application. Use your spell and trap cards when the moment is right, pretty much. I hope that helps explain things for you. Now, the fourth practice duel. In the main phase of your turn, you can freely perform most actions, such as summoning monsters, activating spell or trap cards, or setting any of the free. The main phase is split into Main Phase 1 and Main Phase 2, with one either side of the battle phase. Let's review the role of Main Phase 2. So basically, Main Phase 1 is before fighting, Main Phase 2 is after fighting. That's the simplified version. Now, it's time to duel. Main Phase 1 is primarily for preparing to attack in the battle phase, including summoning monsters. After the battle phase is over, remember to move on to Main Phase 2. In Main Phase 2, you can prepare for the opponent's turn, such as setting trap cards. The enemy has set a monster in defense mode. We can't see what it is because it's set face down. We draw a trap card, Skill Successor. So, going through all this, I'll explain it in my own words. We have a trap card. What we'll do is summon Chosen by the World Chalice. Let's attack the opponent's face-down monster. 1600 attack. The opponent's face-down defense position monster was a Crimson Ninja. Crimson Ninja destroys a trap card set on the field. If we had set skill successor in main phase 1, it would have been destroyed by the opponent's effect. Let's end the battle phase. The enemy's Crimson Ninja would have wiped out our trap card if we played it early. Now that the battling is over, we move on to main phase 2. Main phase 2 is an important phase to prepare for an opponent's turn. Spell and trap cards can be activated and set the same way as in main phase 1. Also, if you didn't summon a monster in main phase 1, you can set one in phase 2. Best way to summarize, if we played skill successor and attacked the Crimson Ninja, we would have lost this card. But because we battled first, we could move into main phase 2 and play it instead. Now the risk is gone, and we get to keep our trap card. Now we're ready for the attack of an opponent's monster. End our turn. Now if the opponent attacks us, we have a trap ready to spring in case we need it. The enemy summons Guardian of the Throne Room, which is 1650 attack. A robot guard built to protect throne rooms armed with homing missiles. If it attacks chosen by the World Chalice, it will be destroyed. Luckily, thanks to our skillful play in main phase 1 and 2, we have our skill successor trap card. When we activate it, it will give him 400 attack. Enough to make chosen by the World Chalice have enough power to survive and grant us our victory. Victory. The enemy attacked into a stronger monster, unaware that we were going to activate a trap to make it stronger. And that is an application of trap cards. You can't just stick them down whenever you feel like it. It's got to be done at the right time to avoid the risk of it being destroyed and giving your monsters all the backup it needs. So now, you've gotten the rough idea of the different implementations of spell and trap cards. This next practice duel is a full-fledged duel where we're left completely on our own. What Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel will do here is let you in on this duel completely on your own and give you free decks to loan from the game itself. You can pick from any of those free decks, whichever one you like most, and then try it out in this practice duel. Seeing as I have already completed this mode in my own free time, I thought it would be interesting to play using one of my own personal dueling decks. Don't worry, this part of the video is not really an explanation of how to play the game, but more of a sneak preview into how a duel can look in Master Duel, without all the tutorials and explanations. So, let's take what we've learned and reviewed so far and duel using the basic rules of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Both players will start with 8,000 life points and 5 cards in their hand. Let's duel with my personal Ancient Gear Solid deck and give you a sneak preview into how a duel might go. We will choose to go second and give our opponent a chance to do something. It's time to duel. The opponent draws, sets one spell or trap, and one monster in face-down defense mode. Alright, I have free spell cards with various different effects, and free monsters that also have effects, including one of my personal favorites, Ancient Gear Golem. Now, I'm going to activate an effect of my monster that can be triggered when he is on the field. To quickly explain, I discard a card, I get to add one to my hand. I add another Ancient Gear Golem to my hand. Now I'm going to attack with my Ancient Gear Frame who has 1600 attack. I get the option to trigger card effects if I so choose, but let's avoid that right now. See, Ancient Gear Frame's effect means that the opponent can't activate spell or trap cards during the battle step, so it stops them activating their spell or trap, whichever one it is, in the back row. This gives you a preview into how you have to play tactically, but don't worry, we'll defeat our duel practice partner and show you more ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Alright. Going to activate Ancient Gear Frame's ability one more time. Discard a card to add another one to my hand. I activate the spell card Ancient Gear Fusion. This is a mechanic we will cover in a later video. Fusion. I have a variety of different monsters I can fusion summon by combining my existing monsters. I'm going to take 4 monsters from my hand and fusion summon. Fusion summon Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. A mighty creature with 4,500 attack. Now, I'm going to activate a quick play spell, Limiter Removal. This will double the attack of all of my machine monsters until the end of the turn, but if we don't defeat the opponent in time, they will be destroyed. We will attack with Ancient Gear Frame, who now has 3,200 attack. The opponent cannot activate their spell or traps, and attack with Ancient Gear Giant. And this shows you how you have to be careful with your spell cards, as they can also have negative effects. The opponent activates a card to summon the Feral Imp from their graveyard. We summon our Ancient Gear Hunting Hound, who has an effect that allows them to deal direct damage to the opponent. We will attack with our Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. Ancient Gear Giant has an ability. If it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. What this means is, even if the opponent is defending, Chaos Ancient Gear Giant's attack will be taken out of their life points if it destroys a monster. Let us conclude this duel. Chaos Ancient Gear Giant attack Feral Imp and grant us victory. But you see, the opponent used a trap card to save themselves. Enchanted Javelin. Increase your life points by the attack of one attacking monster. Even very close to defeat, the opponent can still put up a fight. This is why you have to be careful of any possible cards your opponent can play. The opponent brings back Feral Imp one more time. We will attack once more with Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. We could attack now with Ancient Gear Hunting Hound, but let's wait for a moment. I want to take him out in style. Attack once more, Chaos Ancient Gear Giant. Grant us victory. Delivering the final blow, Chaos Ancient Gear Giant grants us victory. The opponent's life points go to 0. And you can see the different implementations of spells, traps, monster effects, and even a sneak preview into fusion summoning. That was a little preview of how a duel in Master Duel can go. And with that, we reach the goal. If you have not already completed this yourself, you obtain an accessory of which you can decorate your dueling board with. In this case, the style of a normal monster card, a stand in the shape of a card that started many duels. Inscribed in this card is a fragment of history. It tells us something about the way monsters were and what happened in the world in which they live. There you go. That concludes Solo Gate, Duel Restart, ASMR. I hope you have been enjoying this ASMR series so far, my friends. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments. We have cleared Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, Solo Gate, Tutorial, and Solo Gate, Duel Restart. Join us next time for the next chapter and episode, Duel Training, which has many different takes and duels for us to perform for an ASMR entertaining experience. Thank you for your time, and as always, I'm your friend, Alakazam ASMR, and no matter who you are or where you are, have a wonderful time, alright? This is Alakazam ASMR hoping that you have a wonderful day, and may the heart of the cards be with you always. Take care, and adios, my friends.